Hello there, and welcome back to The Sleepy Scientist, where we drift gently through the mysteries of existence. Tonight, we're embarking on a particularly dreamy journey, one that might just change how you think about every choice you've ever made or ever will make. We're exploring parallel universes and the fascinating possibility that somewhere out there in the vast cosmic expanse, there might be countless other versions of you living completely different lives. Now, before we begin floating through these infinite possibilities, I'd love to know where in the world you're listening from and what time it is for you right now, because isn't it curious to think that while you're settling in, perhaps it's midnight in Manchester or dawn is breaking in Tokyo, there might be another version of you in a parallel universe doing something entirely different at this exact moment. Maybe that other you decided to stay up, late reading instead of listening to this, or perhaps they're just waking up to a world where they became an astronaut instead of whatever path you've taken. If you enjoy these gentle journeys through science and wonder, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to The Sleepy Scientist. It helps more curious minds find their way here. And honestly, we need more people willing to question the nature of reality itself. Now, I should give you a fair warning, this video might be just fascinating enough to keep you awake, pondering the implications of infinite realities. But if that happens, well, at least you'll drift off with your mind full of the most profound questions science has to offer. So take a deep breath, let your shoulders relax, and prepare to explore one of the most mind-bending concepts in modern physics. The idea that every decision you make, every quantum event that occurs, every moment of uncertainty might be creating new universes where different outcomes play out. It's a notion that sounds like pure science fiction, but as we'll discover, the mathematics and the physics suggest it might be far more real than we ever imagined. Let's begin with a simple question that will guide our entire journey tonight. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you'd made different choices in your life? What if you'd taken that job in another city? What if you'd said yes instead of no to that invitation? What if you'd chosen a different path entirely? These aren't just idle daydreams, according to some interpretations of quantum mechanics. These alternate versions of your life might actually exist somewhere in the vast multiverse. Imagine for a moment that reality isn't singular but infinite, that every time the universe faces a quantum decision point, every time a subatomic particle can go one way or another, every time uncertainty resolves into a specific outcome, the entire universe splits, creating multiple realities where each possible outcome actually happens. This is the essence of the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, and it suggests something absolutely staggering, that there might be countless versions of you scattered across an infinite array of parallel universes. But here's where it gets really interesting, and where most people misunderstand this concept. It's not your conscious decisions that create these universe splits. It's not because you chose coffee over tea this morning or decided to take a different route to work that caused reality to branch the universe. It doesn't care about your personal choices in the way you might think. Instead, these splits happen at the quantum level, billions upon billions of times. Every second, as tiny particles throughout the cosmos resolve their quantum uncertainties, every atom in your body, every photon of light streaming from distant stars, every quantum event occurring in the deepest reaches of space, all of these contribute to an endless cascade of universe branching. And yes, some of those the events do occur in your brain, which means that while your macro-level decisions don't directly split the universe, the quantum processes underlying your thoughts and choices certainly do participate in this cosmic branching. So there might indeed be parallel universes where you made different decisions, but not because the universe cares about your choices, rather because the quantum substrate of your decision-making process explored different possibilities in different branches of reality. It's a subtle but crucial distinction that makes the whole concept even more profound. Now, let's explore what this really means for you and your existence. In this particular branch of reality, think about the version of you that exists right now. Listening to these words, that version has a history, a collection of experiences, memories, relationships that define who you are, but according to the many worlds interpretation, there are countless other versions of you, with different histories, different memories, different relationships, different entire life. Stories. There's a version of you that became that musician you always dreamed of being. There's another that moved to that foreign country. You once considered there's one that married your first love, and another that never met them at all. There's a you that discovered a cure for cancer, and a you that never learned to read. There are versions of you that are unrecognizably different, and others that are so similar to your current self that the only difference might to be what you had for lunch yesterday. But here's perhaps the most beautiful and haunting aspect of this theory. All of these versions of you are equally real. They're not mere possibilities or potential outcomes. They exist as fully as you exist right now in this moment. Listening to these words, each version of you believes themselves to be the real you. Each has their own subjective experience, their own sense of being the one true version of themselves. This raises profound questions about identity and consciousness. What makes you, you if there are infinite versions of you scattered across the multiverse? Is there something special about this particular version, or are you simply one note in an infinite symphony of selves, each playing their own unique melody while contributing to a grander cosmic composition? The mathematics behind this interpretation emerged from the work of physicist Hugh Everett in 1957. Everett was troubled by the conventional interpretation of quantum mechanics, which seemed to suggest that reality only becomes definite when observed. He proposed instead that all possible quantum outcomes actually occur, but in separate non-communicating branches of reality. This means that the famous thought experiment of Schrödinger's cat, where a cat in a box is simultaneously alive and dead until observed, has a startling resolution. According to Everett, the cat doesn't exist in some ghostly superposition of life and death. Instead, there are two universes, one where the cat lives and one where it dies. Both outcomes are real, both cats exist, and both versions of the scientist opening the box experience their respective realities. To extend this logic to every quantum event in the universe, and you get an almost incomprehensible picture of reality, a constantly branching tree of existence where every moment spawns countless new timelines, each as real and valid as any other. It's a vision that makes our universe not unique, but simply one member of an infinite ensemble of realities. But if this is true, if there really are infinite parallel universes containing infinite versions of ourselves, why do we only experience one reality? Why aren't we aware of all these other versions of our lives? The answer, according to quantum mechanics, lies in the nature of consciousness and observation. Each version of you in each universe has access only to the information and experiences within their own branch. You can't perceive the other versions because they exist in separate, non-overlapping realities. It's not that they're hidden from you. They're simply part of different universes that don't interact with ours in any detectable way. Think of it like this. Imagine you're reading a book, but you can only see one page at a time. The other pages exist. They're part of the same book, but you can't access them directly from where you are, each version of you across. The multiverse is like a consciousness, reading their own unique page in an infinite cosmic book. This limitation might actually be essential for consciousness to function properly. Imagine if you were aware of all your parallel selves simultaneously trying to remember not just your own experiences, but the experiences of countless other versions of you living completely different lives. The cognitive load would be overwhelming. Perhaps the universe has evolved in such a way that conscious beings can only access one timeline at a time, not as a limitation, but as a necessary feature for coherent experience. Yet there's something both comforting and unsettling about this isolation from our other selves. On one hand, it means that every mistake you've made, every regret you carry, exists alongside universes where you made different choices, where you avoided that heartbreak or took that opportunity. Somewhere in the vast expanse of parallel realities, there's a version of you living your dream life, whatever that might be. But on the other hand, it means you'll never know those other versions. You'll never be able to learn from their experiences or share in their joys and sorrows. This brings us to one of the most fascinating aspects of parallel universe theory, the question of whether these other realities might influence our own in subtle ways. While the many worlds interpretation suggests that universes don't directly communicate, some physicists have wondered whether there might be weak interactions between closely related branches of reality. Could the strange sense of déjà vu you sometimes experience be a faint echo from a parallel self? Could those moments when you feel like you've lived through something before actually be glimpses across the dimensional divide? Of course, there's no scientific evidence for such crossover effects, and most physicists would dismiss them as wishful thinking. But the mathematics of quantum mechanics is so strange and counterintuitive that even the most rigorous scientists sometimes find themselves wondering about possibilities that seem to border on the mystical. After all, we're dealing with a theory that suggests infinite versions of reality exist simultaneously, a concept that would have been pure fantasy just a century ago. Now let's consider how this infinite branching might work in practice. Every quantum event, from the decay of a radioactive atom to the firing of a neuron in your brain, contributes to the universal splitting. But it's important to understand that this doesn't mean reality is constantly exploding into chaos. The branching follows precise mathematical rules governed by quantum probability amplitudes. Think of it like a river delta, where a single stream gradually divides into countless smaller channels. Some branches carry more water, more probability, and these represent the outcomes we consider most likely in our everyday experience. Other branches are mere trickles, representing quantum possibilities that rarely manifest in our particular corner of the multiverse. This probabilistic structure means that while infinite realities exist, they're not all equally likely to resemble our own. The version of you that decided to become an astronaut exists, but it's in a branch that required a very specific series of quantum events to unfold in just the right way. Meanwhile, the version of you that had cereal instead of toast for breakfast this morning exists in a nearby branch that differs from ours by only the tiniest quantum fluctuations. But here's where the theory becomes almost impossibly vast. If every quantum event creates branching, then the number of parallel universes isn't just large, it's infinite and growing exponentially with each passing moment. By the time you finish listening to this sentence, countless new universes will have branched off from this one, each containing slightly different versions of reality. In some of these newly created universes, you decided to pause this video. In others, you're listening with complete focus. There are branches where you fell asleep, and others where you had a sudden insight that changed your entire worldview. Every possibility that quantum mechanics allows, no matter how unlikely, is playing out somewhere in the infinite expanse of parallel realities. This raises profound philosophical questions about the nature of choice and free will. If every possible decision you could make is actually made by some version of you across the multiverse, what does it mean to choose? Are you really deciding your path through life, or are you simply experiencing one predetermined branch of an infinite tree of possibilities? Some philosophers argue that free will becomes meaningless in a many-worlds universe, since every choice you don't make is made by another version of you. But others suggest that free will remains intact, because you still experience the process of deliberation and decision-making, even if other versions of you are simultaneously making different choices. Your subjective experience of choosing remains real and meaningful, even in a reality where all possibilities are actualized. Perhaps even more intriguing is the question of whether the other versions of you are truly separate beings, or whether they're all aspects of some larger multiversal consciousness. Are you an individual entity that happens to exist in multiple copies, or are you part of a vast interconnected web of selves spanning infinite realities? This connects to another fascinating parallel that exists even within our single universe. While quantum mechanics suggests multiple versions of you across parallel worlds, there's already a kind of multiplicity in how you exist right here and now. Every person who knows you carries a different version of you in their mind. To your parents, you're their child, with all the associated memories, hopes, and fears. To your friends, you might be the funny one or the reliable one or the dreamer. To your co-workers, you present yet another face, another version of your personality. To strangers, on the street, you're barely a blip in their awareness, a momentary figure in their personal narrative. In this sense, there are already countless versions of you existing simultaneously in the minds and memories of everyone you've ever encountered. Each person's perception of you creates a unique version that exists as long as they remember you. These aren't parallel universe selves, but they're parallel nonetheless existing in the subjective realities of other consciousness. This psychological multiplicity mirrors the quantum mechanical one in fascinating ways. Just as quantum branching creates versions of you that are similar but distinct, the social world creates versions of you that share core characteristics, while differing in how they're perceived and understood by others. Even your own self-perception is limited and partial, so you know yourself from the inside through your thoughts and feelings and memories, but you can never see yourself as others see you. In a very real sense, you only know one version of yourself, just as you only experience one branch of the quantum multiverse. All of this leads to a rather humbling realization about the nature of identity and existence. If parallel universe theory is correct, then you are simultaneously unique and utterly common. You are the only version of you that you'll ever know, and yet you are one of infinite versions scattered across infinite realities. Your experiences, your struggles, your triumphs, your quiet moments of joy or sorrow, all of these are precious and meaningful to you, but they're also being experienced by countless other versions of you in countless other ways. Somewhere in the multiverse there's a version of you that never experienced your greatest disappointment, and another that never knew your greatest joy. This perspective can be both overwhelming and liberating. Overwhelming because it suggests that nothing you do is truly unique or special. Liberating because it means that every path not taken is being explored by another version of you. Every dream you abandoned is being pursued by a parallel self. Every love you lost is being cherished by another you in another universe. As we drift deeper into these concepts, let yourself imagine what it would be like to meet one of your parallel selves. Would you recognize each other immediately? Or would the differences be so profound that you'd seem like strangers? Would you be jealous of the choices they made, or grateful for the path you took instead? Perhaps you'd discover that the version of you who became a doctor, instead of whatever you are now, is dealing with their own regrets about not pursuing art. Maybe the you who moved across the world is lying awake at night, wondering what would have happened if they'd stayed home. It's a curious thought that even across infinite realities, satisfaction and contentment might remain elusive, that the grass might always appear greener in some other universe. But let's step back from the personal implications and consider the broader cosmic picture. If the many worlds interpretation is correct, then our universe is not the grand stage of existence we once imagined. Instead, it's merely one performance in an infinite theatre, one story being told among countless others. The Big Bang that created our reality was just one of infinite Big Bangs, each giving birth to its own branch of the multiverse. This connects to another fascinating model of parallel universes known as the bubble universe theory. According to this idea, our entire observable universe is just one bubble in an infinite cosmic foam. During the period of rapid expansion called inflation that occurred just after the Big Bang, different regions of space-time stopped inflating at different times. Each region that stopped became a bubble universe with its own unique properties. Imagine blowing soap bubbles in your garden. Each bubble is separate, complete, and follows the same basic physics. Yet each one is unique in size, duration, and the exact way it catches the light. In this analogy, our universe is just one bubble floating in an infinite sea of cosmic bubbles, each containing its own version of reality. What makes this even more extraordinary is that different bubble universes might have entirely different laws of physics. In our universe, the speed of light is constant, gravity follows Einstein's equations, and quantum mechanics behaves in the ways we've come to understand. But in another bubble universe, these fundamental constants might be completely different. There might be universes where time flows backward, where gravity repels instead of attracts, where matter and energy behave in ways we couldn't even begin to comprehend. This raises the profound question of why our universe seems so perfectly tuned for life. The strength of gravity, the mass of electrons, the rate of cosmic expansion, all of these appear to be calibrated within incredibly narrow ranges that allow stars to form, planets to exist, and complexity to emerge. Change any of these fundamental constants by even a tiny amount, and our universe would be a lifeless void. The multiverse offers an elegant solution to this puzzle. If there are infinite universes with every possible combination of physical laws and constants, then it's not surprising that we find ourselves in one of the rare universes where life is possible. We couldn't exist in the vast majority of bubble universes, so naturally we observe ourselves in one of the special ones where conscious beings can evolve to ponder these very questions. It's a bit like winning the cosmic lottery, except that in an infinite multiverse, every possible lottery ticket exists somewhere. We're not lucky to be in a life-friendly universe, we're simply one of the inevitable outcomes of infinite possibility. Recent developments in quantum computing have added another fascinating layer to multiverse discussions. Google's quantum computer achievements have reignited debates about where the incredible computational power of quantum systems comes from. Some researchers suggest that quantum computers might actually be borrowing computational resources from parallel universes, performing calculations across multiple branches of reality simultaneously. When a quantum computer holds a particle in superposition, exploring multiple states at once, it might literally be accessing the computational power of countless parallel versions of itself. It's as if each quantum bit exists in multiple universes simultaneously, and the computer harnesses this multiplicity to solve problems that would take classical computers longer than the age of the universe. This interpretation suggests that quantum computers aren't just incredibly fast machines, they're actually windows into the multiverse, devices that exploit the vast computational resources available across infinite parallel realities. Every quantum calculation might be a collaborative effort between countless versions of the same computer existing in different branches of reality. Of course, not all physicists accept these interpretations. Many argue that quantum phenomena can be explained without invoking parallel universes, that the strange behavior we observe at the quantum level doesn't necessarily require infinite realities. The Copenhagen interpretation, for instance, suggests that particles don't have definite properties until they're observed, without needing to invoke branching universes. But the mathematical elegance of the many worlds interpretation continues to attract researchers. Unlike other interpretations of quantum mechanics, it doesn't require any special role for consciousness or observation. It doesn't need to explain why some quantum events become real while others remain mere possibilities. Instead, it simply states that all possibilities are equally real, existing in their own branches of the universal wave function. This brings us to one of the most challenging aspects of multiverse theories, their testability. How do you prove the existence of universes that, by definition, can't interact with ours? It's like trying to prove the existence of a book you can never read or a song you can never hear. The very isolation that makes parallel universes possible also makes them impossible to detect directly. Some physicists have proposed indirect tests, looking for subtle signatures that might indicate the presence of parallel realities. Perhaps gravitational effects that seem to come from nowhere, or patterns in the cosmic microwave background radiation that suggest interactions with other bubble universes. But so far, no such evidence has been found. This has led to heated debates within the scientific community about whether unfalsifiable theories, like the multiverse, belong in science at all. If we can't test or disprove the existence of parallel universes, are we engaging in physics or philosophy? Some argue that any theory that makes testable predictions about our observable universe is valid science, even if it also predicts unobservable phenomena. Others maintain that science should focus only on what can be measured and verified. They worry that embracing untestable theories like the multiverse might lead physics down a path where anything is possible and nothing can be proven wrong. It's a fundamental debate about the nature of scientific truth and the boundaries of human knowledge. But perhaps the most profound challenge posed by parallel universe theories isn't scientific but existential. If every possible version of your life is being lived somewhere in the multiverse, what makes your particular experience special or meaningful? If there are infinite versions of you making every conceivable choice, does any individual decision really matter? Some find this perspective liberating. If there's a version of you succeeding in every possible way, then perhaps you can let go of regret and anxiety about the paths not taken. Your mistakes are balanced by parallel successes, your losses by parallel gains. In the grand scope of the multiverse, every story gets told, every dream gets pursued, every possibility gets explored. Others find it terrifying or meaningless. If everything that can happen does happen, then perhaps nothing really matters. Your choices feel less significant when you know that every alternative choice is also being made by another version of you. The weight of decision-making becomes distributed across infinite realities. Yet there's another way to look at it. Even if infinite versions of you exist across infinite realities, this particular version, the one experiencing these thoughts right now, is the only one you'll ever be. Your subjective experience, your consciousness, your unique perspective on existence, these remain singular and precious even in an infinite multiverse. You are simultaneously one among infinite and absolutely unique. The universe may branch into countless possibilities, but your personal journey through this particular branch of reality is unrepeatable and irreplaceable. Every moment of joy, every challenge overcome, every quiet realization, these are yours alone, even if parallel experiences are unfolding elsewhere. As artificial intelligence becomes more sophisticated, it's beginning to help us explore these questions in new ways. AI systems can analyze quantum data patterns, simulate branching scenarios, and even help us design experiments that might one day detect signs of parallel realities. By 2025, we may see revolutionary advances in how we study and understand the multiverse. Machine learning algorithms are particularly well suited to finding subtle patterns in vast datasets, exactly the kind of analysis that might reveal traces of parallel universe interactions. If other realities do influence ours in ways too subtle for human perception, AI might be the key to detecting those influences. But even as our tools become more powerful, the fundamental mystery remains. We are conscious beings embedded within reality, trying to understand the whole from our limited perspective. We're like characters in a book, attempting to understand not just their own story, but the entire library of which their book is just one volume. The parallel universe theories we've explored tonight suggest that this library is infinite, containing every story that could possibly be told. Somewhere in its vast collection is every version of your life, every choice you could make, every path you could follow. And yet you can only read one book, experience one story, live one version of your infinite possibilities. As you lie there in the quiet darkness, perhaps beginning to feel sleep approaching, consider the profound mystery of your existence. You are a conscious observer in one branch of an possibly infinite tree of realities. Your thoughts at this moment, your peaceful drift toward dreams, your unique perspective on the cosmos, these are happening right here, right now, in this particular universe. Whether or not parallel versions of you are falling asleep to different bedtime stories in different realities, your experience remains deeply personal and irreplaceably real. The universe may be far stranger and more vast than we ever imagined, but your place within it, your singular journey through this branch of existence, is no less meaningful for being one among infinite possibilities. And perhaps that's the most beautiful paradox of all. In a reality where every possible version of you exists somewhere, the version of you experiencing this very moment becomes infinitely precious, precisely because it's fleeting, unrepeatable, and entirely yours. Tomorrow you'll wake up as a slightly different version of yourself, shaped by tonight's dreams and thoughts, while somewhere in the vast expanse of parallel realities, other versions of you are waking up to entirely different mornings. The implications ripple outward in ways that make your head spin if you think about them too hard. Every person you've ever loved exists in countless variations across the multiverse. There are realities where your grandmother is still alive, where childhood friends never drifted apart, where pets lived longer, and goodbyes were never said. But there are also realities where connections never formed at all, where paths never crossed, where the people who matter most to you in this universe remain forever strangers. It's both heartbreaking and oddly comforting. The relationships that define your life here, the bonds that feel so essential to who you are, these exist alongside infinite variations and infinite absences. Every moment of connection becomes more precious when you consider that it's just one possibility among countless others, one thread in an infinite tapestry of what could be. This brings us to something that might help you sleep more peacefully tonight. If parallel universe theory is correct, then every worry that keeps you awake, every anxiety about the future, every regret about the past, exists alongside realities where those concerns never materialized. There's a version of you sleeping soundly tonight, unburdened by whatever troubles might be occupying your mind right now. That parallel self isn't living a better or worse life, just a different one. They're dealing with their own set of challenges, their own midnight thoughts, their own journey toward understanding their place in the cosmos. But knowing they exist somewhere in the infinite expanse of possibility might offer a strange kind of comfort. You're not alone in your struggles, even if you're the only version of yourself you'll ever know. Recent advances in quantum physics continue to reveal just how strange our reality truly. Island scientists studying quantum entanglement have discovered that particles can remain mysteriously connected across vast distances, influencing each other instantaneously in ways that seem to defy our understanding of space and time. Some researchers wonder whether these quantum connections might extend across parallel realities, creating subtle links between different branches of the multiverse. Imagine if the déjà vu you sometimes experience, that eerie feeling of having lived through a moment before, might actually be a quantum echo from a parallel self. Perhaps in some nearby branch of reality, a version of you did experience something remarkably similar, and quantum entanglement allowed a faint impression to leak through the dimensional barriers. It's purely speculative, of course, but the mathematics of quantum mechanics is so counterintuitive that even the most conservative physicists sometimes find themselves entertaining possibilities that sound like science fiction. The technology we use to explore these questions continues to evolve at an astounding pace. Quantum computers are becoming more sophisticated, artificial intelligence is growing more capable of pattern recognition, and our instruments for observing the cosmos are reaching unprecedented levels of precision. Each advancement brings us closer to understanding whether the infinite branching realities suggested by quantum mechanics are merely mathematical abstractions or genuine features of existence. And so, as your thoughts begin to soften and the gentle pull of sleep draws near, remember that whether parallel universes exist or remain forever in the realm of beautiful speculation, this moment, this breath, this quiet drift toward dreams belongs entirely to you. In a cosmos that may be infinite with possibility, you are experiencing your one irreplaceable thread of existence, woven into the fabric of this particular reality. Sleep well, dear listener, knowing that somewhere across the vast expanse of what might be, countless versions of you are also settling into their own peaceful nights, while this version of you, the only one you'll ever truly know, finds rest in the gentle mystery of it all.